Commander Gina Park stared at the holographic images, her hands trembling. The orbital footage showed burning schools across 3 colony worlds. 83 facilities targeted in perfect synchronization. She zoomed in on New Busan's primary education center, where her son had been just hours earlier. "Confirmation from all sectors," reported Captain Ta Kim, his voice hollow. "The Empire's ships are withdrawing to hyperspace coordinates." "Casualties?" Gina asked, though she already knew. Initial estimates suggest approximately 800,000 children between the ages of 4 and 12, almost exclusively human. The targeting was precise. Gina zoomed in further. The Imperial insignia was clearly visible on the drone weaponry scattered throughout the wreckage. This was no accident. No rogue faction. This was Imperial policy executed with clinical efficiency. Her communicator blinked. A message from Director Hyun Lee of Military Intelligence. The encryption was the highest level she'd ever seen. "Commander," Director Lee's face appeared, ashen. "We've intercepted Imperial communications. The children weren't collateral damage. They were the target, something about human genetic potential. They're afraid of what we might become." Gina looked back at the screens showing parents searching through rubble. Then they should be. She closed her eyes, seeing Min's face. Her son had just turned 6 last week. They had celebrated with a small cake and his favorite game, pretending to pilot starships. Now he was gone, along with thousands of other children across New Busan. When she opened her eyes, something had changed inside her. The shock was still there, but beneath it burned something cold and hard. "Captain Kim, send word to all stations. Complete communications blackout starting now. Nothing leaves this room." Ta looked surprised but nodded. "Yes, Commander." Gina turned to the main console and entered her command codes, unlocking the secure protocols that had remained dormant during her entire career. The screen changed, showing hidden defense systems that the Empire didn't know humans possessed. "Contact Admiral CO. Tell him to activate Protocol 47. Protocol 47. But that's war preparation." "Yes." Gina's voice was steady now. "And get me the other colony commanders. We need to coordinate." 3 hours later, Gina stood in the underground command center, surrounded by 12 holograms of military leaders from across human space. All of them wore the same expression. Grief hardened into resolve. "The evidence is clear," she said, playing the intercepted communications. "The Empire has classified human children as a strategic threat. Their scientists identified genetic markers suggesting our neural development will eventually surpass their species. They decided to eliminate that threat. So they murdered our children," said Colonel Han, his voice cracking slightly. 800,000 of them. "Yes. And they expect us to grieve, to be broken, to be defeated by our emotions." Gina looked around the circle. "They don't understand humans at all." Admiral CO nodded gravely. "Protocol 47 is active. The hidden shipyards are beginning production. But we need time." "We'll give you time," Gina said. "The Empire thinks we're a minor species with limited technology. We've maintained that facade for generations. Now that deception will protect us while we prepare." She pulled up a star map showing human colonies in green, Imperial territories in red. "They hit us hard, but they've made a fatal mistake. They left witnesses." Her voice grew colder. "The Empire didn't finish the job. They should have killed us all." Colonel Han looked at the attack patterns. Why these specific education centers? Why these colonies? Director Lee stepped forward. "Our analysis suggests they targeted children with the highest genetic markers for neural plasticity and evolutionary potential. The next generation of human leaders, essentially. Including our son," Gina said quietly to herself. The room fell silent as everyone processed the information. "We need to move faster than they expect," Admiral CO finally said. "The Empire believes we'll be paralyzed by grief. They'll monitor for conventional military buildups, but won't expect anything significant for months, perhaps years. That gives us our window," Jinnah agreed. Captain Kim, show them what we found in the wreckage. Todd brought up detailed scans of the Imperial drone weapons. Their technology has advanced, but there are weaknesses in their targeting systems and energy signatures we can exploit. As the meeting continued, Jinnah stepped away for a moment. She pulled up a private screen showing the education center again. The rescue teams were still working, pulling small bodies from the rubble. She watched a father fall to his knees as he recognized his child. In that moment, Jinnah made a promise, not just for Min, but for all of them. The Empire had acted with cold, calculated efficiency. Humanity would respond in kind. When she rejoined the group, they were discussing resource allocation. "We'll need every advantage," Colonel Han was saying. "The Empire outnumbers us 100 to 1. "Numbers aren't everything," Jinnah replied. "We've been developing technologies in secret for decades. Now we'll use them." She authorized the release of classified files showing weapon systems far beyond what the Empire believed humans possessed. "These are just the beginning," she said. "The shipyards beneath Europa and Titan are already producing vessels with these capabilities." "How long until we can strike back?" asked General Yoon, whose daughter had been at one of the targeted schools. 6 months for the initial response force," Admiral Seo answered. "A year for the full fleet." "Make it 3 months, Jinnah ordered. "The Empire has shown us exactly who they are. Now we'll show them who we are." As the meeting concluded, Captain Kim approached Jinnah privately. "Commander, I'm sorry about Min." Jinnah nodded, unable to speak for a moment. "The Empire thinks they know humans," she finally said. "They think they understand how we respond to loss. But they've never seen what happens when we all lose together." She looked once more at the screens showing the devastation, the faces of parents still searching, still hoping against hope. "They wanted to prevent us from becoming a threat," she said quietly. "Instead, they've ensured it." The hum of machinery echoed through the vast underground chambers of Luna Station. Dr. Kang Sunwoo moved quickly through the crowded laboratory, watching as scientists from all 7 research divisions worked with focused intensity. In 15 years of service, he had never seen the entire facility operating at full capacity like this. "Dr. Kang, the military delegation has arrived," his assistant said, approaching with a tablet. "They're waiting in Conference Room Alpha." Kang nodded and straightened his lab coat. 3 weeks had passed since the massacre. 3 weeks of non-stop work, fueled by grief and determination. When he entered the conference room, 12 stern-faced military leaders sat around the oval table. General Do-Yun Song stood at the head, his posture rigid, eyes shadowed from lack of sleep. "Doctor, please proceed with your findings," the general said without preamble. Kang activated the holographic display. Complex genetic sequences appeared, rotating slowly above the table. "The Empire was very specific in its targeting," Kang began. "The genetic markers they focused on are unique to humans. These markers indicate neural plasticity and adaptability levels unseen in other species." He manipulated the display, showing progression models. Based on intercepted Imperial research, their scientists had predicted our evolutionary trajectory over the next 1,000 years. They saw us eventually surpassing them in cognitive abilities and adaptability. "So they decided to cull our next generation," said Admiral One, her voice tight. She had lost twin granddaughters in the attack. "Yes," Kang confirmed. "But they made a critical error. They didn't understand that human potential isn't just genetic. It's also driven by circumstance and necessity." He looked around the table. "And nothing drives human innovation like survival." General Song nodded grimly. "Then we'll prove them right ahead of schedule." The general activated his secure display, revealing schematics for vessels unlike anything humanity had constructed before. The design showed sleek warships with integrated systems that seemed to bend the laws of physics. "We've maintained a facade of technological compliance for generations," the general explained. "Behind that mask, we've been preparing weapons platforms integrated into asteroid belts, quantum communication networks, and this," He gestured to the largest schematic, the Vengeance Fleet. The room fell silent as the military leaders studied the designs. "How soon can these be ready?" asked Colonel Jin. "The shipyards are already at work," General Song replied. 27 hidden facilities throughout human space. Production began the day after the attack. Kang watched the faces around the table. These were not just military leaders. They were parents, grandparents, aunts, and uncles. People who had lost children in the massacre. "There's something else you should see," Kang said, changing the display. "We've developed a new propulsion system that can fold space-time. It will make our ships virtually undetectable until they strike." "Theoretical technology," murmured Commander Park. "Not anymore," Kang replied. "We've had working prototypes for decades. We just never revealed them. The Empire believes such technology is centuries beyond our capability." The meeting continued as they discussed strategy and resources. Kang noticed how different these military discussions were from ones he had observed in the past. There were no arguments about jurisdiction, no posturing or politics. The massacre had stripped away all pretense and competition. Later that evening, Kang walked through the massive underground hangar where prototype vessels were being assembled. Engineers worked around the clock, many of them parents who had lost children. They worked with silent efficiency, channeling their grief into creation. A small hand-drawn picture caught his eye, taped to one of the consoles. A child's drawing of a family holding hands. The engineer working at the station noticed Kang looking. "My daughter," the man said simply. "She was 6. Kang nodded, understanding all that remained unsaid. The next day, Kang was summoned to a higher-level meeting. President Mina Ba herself had arrived at Luna Station to assess their progress. The War Council assembled in the Central Command Chamber, surrounded by displays showing real-time updates from all 27 shipyards. President Ba stood before them, her face composed but her eyes burning with the same cold fire that Kang saw in everyone these days. "Dr. Kang, explain to us the capabilities of these new vessels," she requested. As Kang detailed the technological advances, the shield systems, the weapons platforms, the stealth capabilities, he could see the president measuring each word, calculating humanity's chances. When he finished, she addressed the room. "The Empire believes they understand humans. They think they know how we respond to loss, with emotional outbursts, with disorganization, with weakness." She walked slowly around the table, looking at each person. "They don't understand that grief can be cold. It can be focused. It can be precise." The displays showed construction progress accelerating across all shipyards. Thousands of humans working in perfect coordination, building a fleet unlike anything their kind had ever created. "We strike not in anger," President Ba said to the assembled War Council, "but with the cold precision they showed us. We strike not for revenge, but for survival." General Song displayed the latest intelligence on Imperial fleet movements. "They're not expecting resistance for months, possibly years. They believe we're still in the grieving phase." "Good," the president said. "Maintain that illusion. All communications with Imperial space will continue as normal. Trade ships will operate on schedule. Our diplomats will express our shock and horror at this tragic accident, as the Empire claims it to be." Kang watched as the strategy took shape. The Empire had struck without warning, killing 800,000 children in a single day. Humanity would respond in kind, not with a matching atrocity, but with the same cold calculation. As the meeting concluded, Kang returned to his laboratory. A new batch of enhanced neural interfaces had arrived. Technology that would allow ship pilots to interface directly with their vessels, reducing reaction time to almost zero. He paused at his workstation, looking at a photo of his nephew who had died in the attack. The boy had wanted to be a scientist like his uncle. "We'll show them what human potential truly means," Kang whispered to the image. Then he turned back to his work, joining the silent mobilization that would soon shake the foundations of the galaxy. Ambassador Jun Choi straightened his formal diplomatic uniform and took a deep breath. The grand chamber of the Galactic Council stretched before him, its curved walls lined with delegation boxes for all 18 recognized species. Humans had held a seat for nearly 70 years, but they had never once requested emergency session rights. Until today. The council speaker, a tall meridian with iridescent skin, activated the chamber's central podium. The council recognizes Ambassador Jun Choi of Earth and human colonies, the speaker announced, voice echoing through the vast space. Jun walked forward, feeling the weight of countless eyes upon him. In the diplomatic boxes, representatives leaned forward with expressions ranging from mild curiosity to open disdain. Humans were widely viewed as a minor power, useful for trade, but politically insignificant. The imperial delegation sat in the most prominent position. High Commander Exalt, his insectoid form draped in ceremonial medals, watched with what passed for amusement among his kind. His 4 upper limbs were folded in the position that indicated polite boredom. 8 standard months ago, Jun began, his voice steady and clear. The Galactic Empire committed an act of genocide against human children. Today, I stand before you not to ask for justice, but to deliver a warning. High Commander Exalt scoffed audibly, his mandibles clicking in what the translator rendered as laughter. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Several delegates exchanged confused glances. The Empire rarely bothered with minor species, and certainly not with costly military actions. The Empire categorically denies these ridiculous accusations, Exalt said without rising. If human worlds experienced some tragedy, we express our sympathies, but 800,000 children, Jun interrupted, breaking diplomatic protocol. Targeted specifically for their genetic markers. We have the evidence. The chamber quieted. Even species hostile to humans seemed disturbed by the number. Jun continued. For generations, humanity has hidden its true capabilities. We presented ourselves as technologically inferior to avoid threatening the imperial hierarchy. High Commander Exalt's mandibles twitched in amusement. The Empire had conducted thorough assessments of human technology for decades. They were primitive by imperial standards, barely able to maintain their colony worlds. With a precise gesture, Jun activated the chamber's holographic system. The entire room gasped as images appeared of massive human fleets emerging from folded space, a technology the Empire believed was theoretical at best, centuries from practical application. The hologram showed warships unlike anything seen in Council space, their designs elegant and deadly. They performed maneuvers that defied known physics, disappearing and reappearing at will. Impossible, whispered the Novan delegate. Humans don't possess this technology. We do, Jun replied simply. We always have. High Commander Exalt stood now, his posture aggressive. These are fabrications, computer simulations. Humans lack the neural capacity to develop fold space technology. Our scientists have thoroughly. Your scientists were wrong, Jun cut in. Just as they were wrong about our children posing a threat. We hid our capabilities because we desired peace. We wished to be left alone. That opportunity has passed. The hologram shifted to show imperial colony worlds, with human ships in orbit. The footage was date-stamped just hours earlier. This message is primarily for the Empire, Jun said, his voice echoing. Flee now. Evacuate your core worlds. You have 30 standard days. What follows will not distinguish between the guilty and the innocent, just as you did not when you murdered our children. Chaos erupted in the chamber. Delegates demanded verification of the footage. Security officers rushed to consult their communications devices. The speaker called for order repeatedly, with little effect. High Commander Exalt stood tall, all 6 limbs extended in the formal posture of imperial authority. These are fabrications, humans lack. His words died as the chamber's artificial gravity shifted. For 3 seconds, everyone floated slightly above their positions. Then gravity returned to normal, all systems functioning perfectly as though nothing had happened. That, said Jun with cold calm, was us neutralizing your flagship in orbit. Your crew is unharmed. For now. The chamber fell completely silent. "Check your communications," Jones suggested. The Imperial delegation huddled over their devices. The color drained from Xelt's faceplates, the equivalent of human pallor. "This is an act of war," Xelt managed finally, his translator conveying both rage and fear. "No," Jones corrected. "The act of war was the murder of our children. This is simply the consequence." The Meridian speaker stepped forward. "Ambassador Choi, what exactly are you asking of the Council?" "Nothing," Jones replied. "We are not here to ask. We are here to inform. Non-imperial worlds will not be targeted if they remain neutral. Those who aid the Empire will share its fate." "And what fate is that?" asked the Novan delegate cautiously. "The same fate they chose for our children." Jones' voice was devoid of emotion. "Extinction." Several delegates gasped. Extinction-level conflicts were forbidden under galactic law. Even suggesting such action violated countless treaties. "Humans would never," the Meridian speaker began. "8 months ago, we would not have," Jones agreed. "But we are no longer the humans you knew. The Empire has awoken something they do not understand." He turned directly to Xelt. "You believed our children were a threat because of their genetic potential. You were right to fear what humans might become. Now you will witness it firsthand." With another gesture, Jun displayed new footage. An Imperial military outpost simply ceasing to exist, its molecules appearing to separate and dissolve. "That was one ship," Jun said. "One weapon. We have thousands." High Commander Xelt was receiving urgent communications now. His senior aides whispered frantically in his hearing organs. "Withdraw from this chamber," Xelt ordered his delegation suddenly. "Secure communications only. Contact the Emperor immediately." As the Imperial delegation hurried out, other representatives began approaching Jun, some pleading for clarification, others offering hasty alliances. Jun raised his hand for silence. "Humanity has no quarrel with other species. Stay out of our way, and you will survive what comes next." "Ambassador," the Meridian speaker tried again. "Surely negotiations." "There will be no negotiations," Jones said firmly. "The time for talking ended when the Empire targeted our children. They have 30 days to evacuate their core worlds. Any Imperial ships or citizens remaining after that time will be considered legitimate targets." As June turned to leave, the Novan delegate hurried to intercept him. "This will mean billions of deaths," the Novan whispered. "Surely your people don't want such blood on their hands." June looked at him with empty eyes. "Our hands already hold the blood of 800,000 children. The Empire has taught us a valuable lesson about mercy." He walked past without another word. Outside the chamber, his aide waited with a secure communication device. "Is it done?" asked General Song. "Yes," Jun confirmed. "The warning has been delivered." And their response? Exactly as predicted. Fear disguised as outrage. "They're contacting their emperor now." "Good," the general said. "The fleets are in position. If they attempt any preemptive strikes—" "They won't," Jun interrupted. "Not yet. First, they'll try to confirm our capabilities. They still can't quite believe what they're seeing." "Their mistake," General Song replied. "Report back to command. Phase 2 begins now." June ended the communication and looked back at the council chamber doors. For centuries, humans had sought peaceful coexistence, hiding their true potential to avoid conflict. Now that mask had been torn away, revealing something the galaxy had never seen before, a species transformed by grief into something terrible and new. The Imperial Palace on Thorax Prime glittered under its 3 suns, towers of crystalline material reaching toward the crimson sky. Inside the Grand Strategy Chamber, Supreme Overlord Soren sat on his elevated throne, all 8 of his eyes focused on the holographic display before him. The footage from the Galactic Council session played again. The human ambassador's warning, the demonstration of power, the neutralization of the Imperial flagship. "Enough," Xoran chittered, mandibles clicking with irritation. He waved his upper appendages, dismissing the hologram. I have seen this performance several times now. Around the circular chamber, 24 of the Empire's highest military and scientific advisors waited in nervous silence. None wanted to be the first to speak after witnessing their supreme leader's growing anger. High Commander Xelt finally stepped forward, his posture submissive. Supreme One, the humans have made threats that cannot be ignored. They claim to have technology that... Claims and illusions. Zoran interrupted. Humans have always been emotional creatures. This display of bravado is merely that. The display. Our intelligence indicates they have perhaps 40 combat-capable vessels. Primitive ships with rudimentary weapons. The scientific advisor, Chief Researcher Vex, raised a limb hesitantly. Supreme One, our sensors did confirm unusual energy readings during the Council incident. The temporary gravity disruption was real. A simple trick, Soren dismissed. Perhaps they smuggled a device into the Council chamber. Nothing more. Imperial Admiral Grill, his carapace bearing the scars of many campaigns, stepped forward cautiously. He alone among those present had actually faced humans in combat during a minor border skirmish 15 cycles earlier. Supreme One, I believe the human threat may be genuine, Grill said, choosing his words carefully. Their warning was delivered with a certainty that suggests they possess significant military capacity. The footage of their ships using fold space technology. Your cowardice displeases me, Admiral. Zoran interrupted, his voice dropping to a dangerous pitch. Humans are mammals with limited lifespans and primitive technology. They grieve their spawn excessively, which clouds their judgment. The chamber fell silent. Everyone knew what had happened 8 months ago. The targeted elimination of human children with specific genetic markers had been Soren's direct order, carried out in secret by elite Imperial forces. The operation was necessary, Soren continued as if reading their thoughts. Our genetic forecasts were clear. In less than 1,000 years, humans would evolve neural capabilities exceeding our own. The threat was eliminated preemptively, as is our right and duty as the dominant species. Admiral Grill lowered his gaze, but his mandibles twitched with suppressed words. Speak, Admiral, Soren commanded. You clearly have more to say. Supreme One, the humans' response is unusual. We expected chaos, grief, political fracturing. Instead, they have shown remarkable unity and focus. Our spy networks report unusual activity in their territory. What kind of activity? Demanded Soren. We don't know, Grill admitted, and that is concerning. Our surveillance systems are experiencing unprecedented failures near human space. Zoran's carapace shifted in what passed for laughter among his kind. So they've improved their jamming technology. That hardly suggests they possess the capability to threaten the Imperial core worlds. He rose from his throne, towering over his advisors. I have made my decision. The humans will be taught the price of threatening the Empire. Mobilize the 7th and 3rd fleets. We will crush this uprising before it gains momentum. Supreme One, ventured Chief Researcher Vex, perhaps we should first send probes to verify their capabilities. You suggest we show weakness, hesitation. Zoran's voice was dangerously quiet. No, the humans expect us to wait 30 days. We will strike in 10. Their colonies will be reduced to ash, and any survivors will be processed for labor camps. The orders went out immediately. Across the Empire's territories, massive battle groups mobilized. The 7th and 3rd fleets converged toward human space, nearly 5,000 vessels prepared to crush the upstart species once and for all. On his flagship, the inexorable Domination, Admiral Grill prepared for the coming campaign with increasing unease. He reviewed the classified footage from the human ambassador's demonstration once more. Something about the casual way they had disabled the Empire's most advanced defensive systems troubled him deeply. Admiral, his second-in-command approached. The fleet is assembled and awaiting your command. Supreme Overlord Soren has transmitted the attack plan personally. Grill studied the battle strategy. It was aggressive, designed for overwhelming force rather than tactical subtlety. Exactly what he would expect from Soren. Has our advance reconnaissance returned any data? Grill asked. No, Admiral. 3 scout ships have failed to report back. Communications interference is assumed. Grill's antennae twitched nervously. 3 ships lost to interference. That does not concern High Command. Supreme Overlord Soren believes the humans are using simple jamming techniques, nothing our main fleet cannot overcome. Grill turned back to the viewport, watching as hundreds of Imperial warships moved into formation around his flagship. The combined might of the 7th and 3rd fleets represented nearly a quarter of the Empire's total military power. No species in known space could stand against such force. And yet, have we intercepted any human communications? Grill asked. Any indication they know we're coming? No, Admiral. Their communications continue as normal. Trade ships are operating on regular schedules. Their diplomatic corps has filed the expected protests about our tragic accident at their education facilities. Everything appeared normal. Too normal. Grill had fought enough campaigns to recognize when something felt wrong. The humans were behaving as if they had already won. Later that night, unable to enter hibernation rest, Grill accessed his private terminal. He reviewed historical records of human conflicts, searching for patterns, for insights. One account caught his attention. An ancient human battle where a numerically inferior force had defeated a much larger one through deception and superior position. The parallels were unsettling. On the 6th day of fleet mobilization, Grill requested a private audience with Supreme Overlord Soren. The request was denied. Instead, he received new orders. Accelerate the timeline. The attack would commence in 3 days. As the massive Imperial Armada approached the edge of human space, Grill ordered additional scans of the surrounding region. The results showed nothing unusual, empty space, exactly as their intelligence had predicted. Admiral, we are detecting unusual energy readings at the fringe of our sensor range, reported his sensor officer. What kind of readings? Grill demanded. Unknown, sir. They appear and disappear in microsecond bursts, possibly sensor ghosts. Keep monitoring, Grill ordered, and prepare a full spectrum analysis. He returned to his private quarters and pulled up the human ambassador's warning one final time. Flee now, the human had said. What follows will not distinguish between the guilty and the innocent, just as you did not when you murdered our children. For the first time in his long military career, Admiral Grill felt a sensation he could not immediately identify. After careful internal analysis, he recognized it. Fear. He returned to the bridge and found his officers excitedly gathered around the main tactical display. Admiral. His second reported triumphantly, we've located a human military installation near their colony on Proxima IV. Scans show minimal defenses and approximately 30 ships in dock. The Supreme Overlord was correct. Their fleet is tiny compared to ours. Relief spread through the bridge. The crew's confidence returned, their earlier nervousness forgotten. Only Grill remained troubled. Continue scanning, he ordered. Full spectrum, maximum range. Is something wrong, Admiral? His second asked quietly. Grill watched the stars through the viewport. The humans said they would not distinguish between the guilty and innocent, he said softly, just as we did not. They are merely mammals making threats beyond their capability, his second replied, repeating Zoran's assessment. Perhaps, Grill said, but I have fought humans before. They are not to be underestimated. The massive fleet continued its advance toward human space, weapons charged, troops ready for planetary assault. 5,000 warships moved in perfect formation, the greatest display of Imperial might in generations. And still, Admiral Grill could not shake the feeling that they were sailing into a trap of their own making. The Imperial Armada exited hyperspace near Saturn, thousands of warships appearing in perfect formation. Admiral Grill stood on the bridge of the inexorable domination, his 8 eyes scanning the tactical displays. The gas giant's rings glowed golden in the distant sunlight, but otherwise, space was empty. Scanning complete. Admiral, reported the sensor officer. No human vessels detected. The bridge crew chittered with confidence. They had arrived with overwhelming force, ready to crush whatever pitiful resistance the humans might offer. But there was nothing to crush. Admiral Grill felt a chill along his exoskeleton. Something was wrong. Humans were emotional, yes, but not stupid. They would not make threats they couldn't back up. Expand scan radius, he ordered. Check for anomalies in the planetary rings. His second-in-command approached. Admiral, perhaps the humans fled when they detected our approach. Their warning was clearly a bluff. Before Grill could respond, alarms blared across the bridge. The sensor officer's mandibles clicked rapidly in distress. Admiral, energy readings appearing everywhere. Before the officer could comply with the earlier order, space itself seemed to fold inward at 1,000 points surrounding the Imperial fleet. Human vessels materialized in perfect formation, each positioned to target multiple Imperial ships. They had not been hiding. They had simply been elsewhere, in some state the Imperial sensors could not detect. Battle stations, Grill commanded. All ships, raise shields and prepare tow. Message incoming, called the communications officer, mandibles trembling. A human female appeared on the main screen. She wore a simple dark uniform with minimal markings of rank. Her face showed no fear, no anger, no emotion at all. "I am Captain Unipark of the HSS Remembrance," she said. "You were warned." Grill stepped forward. "This is Admiral Grill of the Imperial Third Fleet. Your species stands accused of threatening the Empire. Surrender immediately or—" The transmission cut off. Captain Park had not bothered to listen to his response. "They're targeting our forward elements," the tactical officer reported. "Reading weapons lock from multiple vessels." "Return fire," Grill ordered. All ships engaged the nearest targets. What followed was not a battle but an execution. The human vessels employed weapons that distorted spacetime, bypassing Imperial shields entirely. Ships disappeared into artificially generated singularities. Others found their molecular bonds simply ceasing to exist, dissolving into clouds of component atoms. "Evasive maneuvers," Grill shouted as a nearby cruiser simply vanished. "Focus fire on the largest human vessel." But their weapons seemed to pass through the human ships without effect, as if firing at ghosts. Meanwhile, Imperial vessels continued to disappear in flashes of light or silent disintegration. "Admiral," his second gasped, "we've lost 40% of our forces already. The 7th Fleet is reporting similar losses." Grill stared at the tactical display in horror. The mighty Imperial Armada, 5,000 ships strong, was being systematically destroyed by an enemy they couldn't effectively fight. "Order all ships to retreat," he said quietly. "Emergency hyperspace jumps. Any coordinates outside this system." But Supreme Overlord Soren ordered. "Now," Grill roared, "or none will survive to report what happened here." The order went out, but it was already too late for most. The human ships anticipated their escape vectors, cutting off retreat paths with precise positioning. Hyperspace engines failed to engage, blocked by some unknown technology. On the bridge of the inexorable domination, Admiral Grill watched as his fleet died around him. 17 minutes after the first human ship appeared, nearly 80% of the Imperial Armada had been destroyed. "Admiral," the communications officer said, voice shaking, "they're letting some ships escape. Approximately 500 vessels have successfully entered hyperspace." "They want witnesses," Grill realized. "They want the Empire to see what happened here." His flagship shuddered as another nearby vessel disintegrated. Grill made his decision. "Prepare my personal shuttle," he ordered, "and transmit all sensor data to Imperial High Command. They need to understand what we're facing." In the Imperial Palace on Sorix Prime, Supreme Overlord Soren, received the first transmissions from the battle with stunned silence. Around him, his advisors watched in horror as the footage showed Imperial ships being destroyed with casual ease. "This cannot be real," Soren whispered, his mandibles trembling. "Our ships, our technology, superior in every way." "Supreme One," High Commander Xelt said, "the humans have destroyed over 4,000 vessels. The survivors report weapons beyond our understanding." Before Soren could respond, the palace communication system activated. A human female appeared on all screens simultaneously, bypassing Imperial security protocols as if they didn't exist. "I am President Mina Ba of the United Human Worlds," she said, her voice calm and measured. "Your civilization murdered 800,000 of our children because you feared what humanity might become. Now you will see exactly what we have become." Zoran rose from his throne, rage overcoming his shock. "How dare you address me directly? The Empire will not be threatened by." "The Empire no longer has the luxury of pride," President Ba interrupted. "The evacuation order stands. You have 13 days remaining to clear your core worlds." "You cannot possibly target all Imperial worlds," Soren hissed. "We have over 300 settled systems." "We already have," she replied. "The ships that destroyed your fleet were only a small fraction of our forces. The rest are already in position throughout Imperial space." As if to demonstrate, the screens split to show footage of human vessels appearing near major Imperial worlds, their weapons ready but not yet firing. "Your species took our children because you feared our potential," President Ba continued. "That fear was justified. But your response to that fear has led you to this moment." The transmission ended, leaving the Imperial court in stunned silence. "She's bluffing," Xelt said after a moment. "They cannot possibly have the resources to." A junior communications officer burst into the chamber, forgetting all protocol in his panic. "Supreme One, reports coming in from all sectors. Human ships appearing everywhere. They're allowing evacuation vessels to depart, but destroying all military installations. Across the Empire, the greatest exodus in galactic history began. Imperial citizens abandoned their homes, their possessions, everything they had built over thousands of years of dominance. Space around every major world filled with civilian ships fleeing toward the outer territories." Admiral Grill, one of the few high-ranking officers to survive the battle at Saturn, stood before what remained of the Imperial High Command. "They could have destroyed us completely," he said quietly. "They chose not to. They're allowing our people to escape." "A tactical error," one general insisted. "We will regroup, rebuild." "No," Grill interrupted. "You still don't understand what we're facing. The humans have become what we feared they would, but worse than we ever imagined. This isn't a war we can win." As the 13th day approached, President Ba made one final transmission to the evacuating Imperial forces. "Remember this," she said, her eyes cold and determined. "We did not start this conflict, but we are finishing it. The galaxy will know that humanity's children were avenged." When the 13th day arrived, the human fleet kept its promise. Imperial worlds emptied of life were systematically destroyed, erased from existence with the same clinical precision the Empire had shown when targeting human children. The galaxy watched and learned a terrible lesson. Some lines, once crossed, can never be uncrossed, and some enemies, once created, can never be defeated. The Empire had feared what humanity might become. Now they knew.